You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. Talk to James Crane from the Kent County Council Community Wardens, all part of the regular slot I do with James, normally once every couple of months. Lots of useful information and advice from James and the Wardens. And I know, James, you next wanted to talk about oil heating and fuel heating theft.
Yeah, there's been an increase in the theft of heating and fuel oil from rural residential properties. And in some places, this has been as high as 70% compared to previous years. There's around 1.5 million homes in the UK which rely on heating oil as the means of running the central heating systems. And some of the rises in fuel costs has been blamed on the rise in these thefts. So, really, the following is just advice which may help you to improve the security of your tank. So, remember to keep all your gates to your property closed and securely locked at all times, and ensure that these gates and fences are in good repair. Consider installing suitable security floodlighting and also closed-circuit television, the CCTV cameras. The location of oil tanks should be, or can be, a critical factor. Ideally, they should be situated within sight of your home, but not visible from the road. And if tanks are visible, consider planting hostile or thorny shrubs around the tank, as these will think twice before forcing their way through a prickly hedge, as even the smallest trace of blood or a shred of ripped clothing could provide enough forensic evidence to identify the offender. Regularly check your fuel levels so you can easily spot if the level drops. Most homeowners only check their tanks every few weeks and therefore wouldn't realise how much oil their tank contained. And remote electronic oil monitors, which set off an audible alarm if the oil level suddenly drops, can be fitted to most tanks. Consider installing lockable caps with crop-proof padlocks and or fittings where possible, and provide vulnerable fuel hoses with a hardened and flexible casing so that they're harder to cut. And if you are installing or resiting an oil tank, consider securing the tank in an alarmed, ventilated, locked structure or cage. But please remember that the oil tanker driver will need access to the tank. And also, check that your oil is covered by your household insurance. These tips won't guarantee that your oil will be safe, but it may give you enough protection for the opportunist thief. And if you find that your oil has been stolen, please report it to Kent Police on 101 or 999 if the theft is in progress.
James, I know you next wanted to cover about boxes and packaging being left out for collection.
Yeah, certainly. Quite often people leave boxes and packaging outside their houses awaiting collection by the bin team. And this can give valuable clues to crooks when new and valuable items are indoors and ready for them to steal. This is especially true at Christmas time. I mean, that's only around the corner. It's like 25 days away. And many crooks patrol residential areas, especially for the purpose of gaining intelligence on such matters. But whether it's Christmas or not, be aware that others might have an unhealthy interest in what you throw away. Very often, packaging can be torn up into pieces small enough to go into the wheelie bin. Often, such packaging can be taken to the local recycling facility and disposed of immediately after the festivities, thus removing any chance of clues being handed out to crooks. And televisions, electrical equipment and other large items can generally be delivered and set up by the retailer, who will also remove the unwanted packaging. Take advantage of this when you can, thus removing all evidence of the new goods the moment they're in place. Neither should you leave the old television or DVD player, etc. on show waiting collection by the bin team, as this too implies that a new piece of equipment has been or will soon be bought. By giving some thought to the matter, you'll see how obvious it is to outsiders that you have just purchased some new equipment that will provide a thief with something to sell to fund their lifestyles. Deny them the opportunity of stealing your goods by not letting them know how much about them in the first place. And shred your bank details and then mix them up as much as possible, as some rubbish collections also have clear bags.
And James, I know you next wanted to cover frost and snow damaging the roads and highways.
Yes, certainly. Kent County Council has a duty of care towards its visitors and residents, and this is particularly relevant at the start of spring when winter has been especially cold. Soon we're probably going to get a spell of cold weather, and undoubtedly that will leave a number of potholes and broken surfaces which KCC are keen to be told about. Potholes are caused by frost water freezing the soil underneath the road and causing it to expand, which cracks the surface. And when the ground thaws, the water drains away, and this leaves the cracked road surface to fall into the crevice, thereby creating the pothole. KCC are always keen to learn of any potholes and broken surfaces in adopted highways. An adopted highway is one where KCC have agreed to maintain. Generally, this includes all concreted or asphalted roads and pavements in the borough. An unadopted road is usually a road which is not yet asphalted or concreted, and, as a result, KCC have no responsibility to maintain these.
I know you're next going to cover security advice for people going on holiday.
Yes, during the time in the approach to winter, some people choose to go away for a period of time, spend some time with families, or go to a holiday resort, or just wish to spend some time in a warmer climate. Burglars and crooks take special notice of houses that appear to be empty, and effort should therefore be spent in making an empty house appear to be occupied if you are to deter burglars while you're away from home. Obvious security measures, regardless of the length of time you're away, are to ensure that all doors have 5-lever mortise locks fitted, in addition to night latches such as a Yale lock. Windows too should be closed and locked. Devices to lock windows shut can be bought quite inexpensively, and are often sufficient to deter a would-be burglar. Double glazed windows are usually manufactured with these locking devices fitted, and use these devices but keep the keys etc. handy but out of sight from the window. An obvious precaution is to ensure that milk and paper orders are cancelled, as accumulations of uncollected papers and milk are a sure sign of inactivity. Also, mail or parcels might sometimes be left on show in porches or by doors, and this can give burglars further clues. Insist that your postperson always pushes mail right through your letterbox, and use the services of your guardian neighbour to remove any parcels left in the porch until you return and collect them. This also applies to the delivery of free newspaper, where all too often they are delivered unsolicited and left on show in porches or hanging out of letterboxes. Delivery agents should be trained to push every item right through the letterboxes without fail, but all too often this is not done, and the risk of burglary increases as a result. Very often, a neighbour or nearby friend will agree to visit your house on a daily basis during your absence, so that they can draw the curtains across the windows at night and open them again in the morning. Another tactic might be to allow your neighbour to park a car on your driveway overnight during your absence. Many people have more than one car nowadays, and therefore this can also be considered. And lights, especially standard lamps on table lights, can be easily operated in your absence by time switches, thus making it appear that someone is at home when in fact you're not. And the same device can be used to switch radios on and off, as this will also give the impression that someone is at home. 24-hour time switches are available from the Swale Community Safety Unit, and residents can apply for these by calling 01795 417 193.
James, before you go, I was just hoping you could go over some of those useful contact details for us.
Yeah, certainly. The contact details I've got are for Kent Police, Royal Borough Council, the Community Safety Unit, Kent Highways, and training standards for any issues that you may have over stuff you may have bought for the festive period. So first we've got Kent Police, and you've got two numbers for that, which is 101 for non-emergency and 999 for emergencies. Swale Council is on 01795 417 850. The Swale Community Safety Unit, which you can get the 24-hour time